Viego's available. Plenty of first pickable stuff available here. Even not.
I'm not the biggest fan of the Sylas, though. I think Shanks definitely didn't have the greatest of games on that in the last one. So I actually would have preferred the Zeri pick up here, as you say. And now for LGD, you can kind of have your pick of the litter. I'm also not the biggest fan of Viego. I think Viego's kind of slipping down in our meta draft at the moment, just because there's a lot of things that can kind of come through that can do well against them. Poppy, as you already kind of mentioned, is great against them. JinJiao in the early stages can cause him a lot of issues as well. Also in team fights as well, just being able to knock him about. Viego kind of likes to start getting these resets very quickly, but we'll have to see what View wants to try and respond with. I just really want View to be aggressive in this early game, more so than he was in the last game.
Yeah, I'd like to see proactivity. I'd like to see a little bit of aggression, as you say. Let's see where WE are going to go here. The Aphelios is going to be locked in. Renata is banned currently. So I'm curious if they will go for a support as well. I feel like you've got to go for the Wukong, right? You've got to take a jungler before you get to the second phase.
I agree. The junglers are so important at the moment, especially when you want to engage for these guys. The jungler wouldn't make the most sense, but looks like they're worried about the opportunity for the Nautilus to be banned away, which looks like it'll be responded with fairly quickly by the Braum. So at least you're getting engaged on WE, but I agree. I think the Wukong would have been the better lock in here, because now it's very easy for LG to ban those junglers.
Yeah, there was a Maokai over there. I'm not anticipating a Maokai coming on through. That would be, I would say, a little disrespectful from LGD. They're going to go with the Braum in the end. But like we mentioned, the Wukong not locked in for WE, so now LGD can happily ban that away if they feel like, but I guess Gangplank take it off the board. I mean, Gangplank is one of the kind of signature picks for Biubiu when you think of the games Biubiu's done well on. A lot of them are Gangplank games.
It just feels a bit odd when you could have taken the Gangplank for yourself here on this next rotation if you're that worried about it. You've also got counterpick, so Fearness, who does like to play these more aggressive carry picks in the top lane, you could actually end up seeing something come out that in response to a Gangplank. I mean, we've seen plenty of things that can do actually relatively well into the Gangplank, but we'll have to see exactly what LGD's game plan is here rounding out. I still think banning the Wukong is a good shout, just because you want engage, but we're not getting that either. So maybe setting up for an R pick here for Fearness.
Yeah, I thought that it was going to be a Gwen pick when they were starting to ban top laners. Gwen is just absurd on this patch, but I guess Fearness not looking to play the blue girl for now. And over to the side of WE, banning mid laners here, right? Getting rid of Haichao's Ahri. If you want to ban out Haichao, I'd say maybe the Galio or something, but we'll just be the Akali taken off the board as well. Now LGD need to try and set up for their solo laners. You'd assume maybe a mid laner here, since you already know the enemy mid, but perhaps not. Fearness going back to his pick from a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it looks like they haven't fully made up their mind. I was about to say, I really don't like the LeBlanc. I actually really wanted Azir here again. I think Azir just does really well for playing against the short range composition that WE has, being able to reset fights, because right now you've only got a soul engaged to on the Nautilus here for WE, so having that opportunity to reset fights would have been great. Now LGD are leaning much more into kind of a poke heavy composition, which Nautilus actually could do relatively well against. A Poppy would be wonderful here, but we'll have to see if we actually get that for View, because I've been able to deny the dashes from the LeBlanc, dashes from the Zeri, the Viego, even Braum if he tries to get to stand beside me. Like, this is a perfect Poppy situation for WE.
It's not going to happen, Dagda.
No.
I don't know how else to say it to you, but
these drafts have made me sad.
I can just feel it. I can just feel that Poppy is not going to be locked in here. The Lee Sin.
She's only 450 blue essence. She's so good. Come on. You should have her.
Honest, not the hardest champion in the game, although there is good skill expression there as well. I feel like she's a good middle ground, right? Where easy to play, hard to master. Definitely a solid champion that W could have gone for. Choosing not to in the end. LGD, though, up towards top side. Fearness going to be going with these tanks against the kind of profile that we know of this player. He seems to be changing it up this year. We've seen the Sejuani earlier in the split from him. Now bringing out the Ornn as well.
I mean, this could have been a phenomenal composition from WE, but the fact that you've got the Sylas now is actually the fact you have Sylas into everything that LGD have is insane. Like, as you say, like the Ornn ultimate is going to be picked up by Shanks. The Glacial Fissure going to be picked up by Shanks. you have so many opportunities here for Shanks to get these great engage tools or disengage tools in fights. That's going to make it really difficult for LGD to try and handle. So at least you've got the Braum on LGD side to try and prevent, say, like the Call of the Forge God coming through from Shanks. But it's still a little bit scary with how many of these tools you're now giving across to that mid laner.
Yeah, that's going to be the big question, right? Is how are those ultimates used? How are those tools used? And how are WE going to do in game number 2? Because, you know, Dagda, I feel a little disingenuous trying to break this draft down too much, because in game number 1, we came in, we broke the draft down, we took win conditions. We're like, LGD don't really have enough engage tools. Like, WE's composition just makes sense on paper. It works well as a unit. We didn't see any of that. We didn't even see a smidgen of what we talked about. So I'm a little curious what this game is going to look like, because my assumption is it won't look anything like the drafts would suggest.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of seeing a very similar story here for WE, which is like play through mid jungle, but it's still kind of hard against the LeBlanc. Shanks should have a bit of an easier time against the LeBlanc, because LeBlanc maxes W, so a lot of her damage is already in that distortion. So with a Kingslayer max, oftentimes the side is you can trade relatively effectively back against the LeBlanc using your passive auto attacks, and you just hold on to the second half of your E as Haichao tries to return to his distortion. You then follow along with the abduct as part of the trade combo and make it really difficult for Haichao to disengage after these quick trades. So we'll have to see if Shanks is going to be able to manage that, or if he's just going to get poked down by things like the Q and the E consistently. It's very much about how you try and play in the wave here as Shanks, but if Viu is able to get in there and try and help out, buy a bit of space for Shanks, he might be in a good spot.
Bit of potential action there, but it looks like both teams back away as the ward not able to be cleared by Quay and Haichao. Both of them had started the animation for their second auto attack, or for Haichao's first auto attack, but couldn't quite get it off. Xing takes a hit as well, but crucially, no deep ward on the bottom side from LGD, no ward on the top side either, as Fearness turned with the idea, might be able to get a ward down onto that blue buff. In fact, will be able to move on in here and drop himself a ward down. So bit of deep vision on both sides. You can see the blue ward coming out from Viu on the Raptors as well.
Yeah, JinJiao is going to be spotted here, so Kedaya and Xing just going to take the long route out back down to bot side. So JinJiao not going to be able to spot these guys as they arrive in. As you say, Viu moving up towards that top side, I think is going to spell a little bit of a wraparound route though for Viu. I imagine he's actually going to start moving back down towards this bottom half of the map. There's no reason to be trying to play up towards your top side. Biubiu is going to be fine against Fearness. Like, getting kills on that top side early isn't going to matter too much. So I imagine he'll go into, like, blue, his Gromp, back to Wolves, and then maybe try and set up for some sort of scuttle crab on the bottom half of the map.
Yeah, Viu now spotted up by that ward, so LGD have full information. But same for the side of WE, right? Shanks taking a heavy trade in that mid lane, was still level 1, and Haichao making the best of that exact moment as proccing Electrocute once again. Man, Shanks is not having fun in this mid lane matchup. This LeBlanc destroying him.
Yeah, it becomes a little bit easier at level 4 where you've got like 2 points in your Kingslayer and can trade a little bit better, but it's with the Electrocute, you have to be able to try and trade aggressively here, Shanks, and it just ain't quite happening. Now Quay gonna find Viu, but Smite will secure that.
Quay could be in trouble instead, but doesn't look like Viu wants to commit to anything here. Wolf's still available, so just gonna go back to his clear as Shanks desperately tries to clear the mid lane minion wave, as he'll hope for the cannon, will be able to find it. Beautiful stuff there. And the Doran shield start, he knows exactly how this matchup's gonna go.
Yeah, it's just about trying to get as much healing as possible, but Koi's pathing has been really bizarre here. Like, only 3 camps cleared on this top side as Scuttle is spotting. Like, as a Viego, you're... God damn it, Viu. As a Viego, you're usually able to very quickly clear and kind of outpace the Lee Sin, and that's how you get your advantages. But trying to trade back and forth now means you actually get... I mean, Viu almost clearing out his entire camps, only the Krugs on the bottom side are there, so he can just reset now and go straight down towards that bot side if he wants, but looks like he might be looking for a gank in mid. God damn it,
he just missed another
He
cue.
resets.
Right between the posts, manages to get the field goal.
You know, for someone called Viu, he really hasn't seen it properly, has he?
Well, look, he is a blind monk at the end of the day. We'll go over to his crooks to finish those off. Yeah, weird pathing coming out from Quay. Viu not having the greatest game of his life either.
This
so
is the
far,
top of the table bout I wanted.
the battle for the wooden spoon continues between WE and
Neither
LGD.
team has found the spoon yet.
Yeah, I mean, this, you know, have you heard of the show Kitchen Nightmares? This is that, but in League of Legends form. Oh dear. Yeah, bit of a weird one. Bit of a weird one to start us off. As Biu still deciding not to reset just yet.
Why?
He's moved back over to his Raptors, I guess.
I'm so confused by this. Like, again, this
Fans,
is
isn't it?
like, I suppose, yeah. Because like, the what I thought you would do is like go for that reset, right? Come back out, you do Krogs, Raptors, and then move in for a bot side gank. But we're not seeing View do any of that, and the fact that you're kind of still out on the map means you're just slow to reset. You don't get your items. You're slower on your clear. Koi has now got this advantage where he's now going to be able to power farm through his jungle off the reset, and Yu has got to go back up towards his top side, so not actually being able to really play between the two lanes he wants to affect, which is mid lane and also that bot side. Shanks as well, like, he's completely out of mana. Because View is only resetting now, he can't help Shanks push this wave, so Shanks now is going to be very slow on getting this wave shoved in, which is why Kedaya now is being called up to try and help him. Actually, doesn't even. So now you can get you can actually get this freeze off as Haichao, and this is because View didn't reset, because he's not on the map to actually help Shanks in the mid lane.
Yeah, a bit of a weird one. And you can see View moving over as Kedaya trying to get some deep vision. There were some blue pings on towards that Drake, because Kedaya is just 1v1ing Quay right here on the Nautilus. Kedaya does not give a singular monkeys right there. Quay getting forced out. JinJiao finally arriving as Assum is there as well. You know, Kedaya knew that the enemy bot lane had reset and wanted to punish off the back of that.
God.
Might get punished himself, though. Laser across to get the slow here. JinJiao going to stack that passive up, but I don't think there's any follow-up from the rest of the team here.
I mean, Haichao could just get the chains. Nope, never mind.
Haichao could just end up dead, honestly. At this rate, there's a hook coming in through on as well, but it's onto the clone. Haichao was the one to walk towards that mid lane, so he'll be okay. Drake could be the target here. Good little ward from Haichao to keep himself safe from Biubiu.
Messy stuff from both sides, though. It looked like LGD weren't really expecting Shanks to be in the bush, which I'm surprised at because Haichao did spot him there. I mean, a chains onto Shanks could have spelled disaster for the Sylas, but Distortion now picked up for Shanks. Biubiu roaming back up towards top side after losing out of that wave. Is it WE? Are starting the dragon. This is messy.
This is extremely messy, and I'm here for it, Dagda. Here we go. Shanks goes in. It's going to be a stun on Quay over the wall, but he'll escape with his life. Dragon's still going. Quay forced away. That's a Drake for WE. We take those. They have a 200 gold advantage and a Drake, Dagda.
I'm so confused by the movements I was saying. Haichao getting on the business end of that trade from Shanks as well, but like Biubiu misses out on a wave in top side, but is still in a relatively okay spot from top. Shanks doesn't die in mid, which I don't understand why LGD don't just turn on to Shanks with the position that he had in that mid lane. And somehow WE, with having no TP on Biubiu, and Fearness having TP and a reset to potentially come for a fight, don't take the fight and don't get the dragon. Like, none of these passages of plays make sense in my head.
Yeah, it's been a wonky one, that's for sure. But you know what? I'm okay with wonky League of Legends. Wonky is my middle name. That's totally untrue. My middle name is Luke.
Joe
but,
Wonky Fenny.
Yeah. Willy Wonky. Oh, no, that doesn't sound like what I wanted it to.
Is this
that was
why
meant
you
to
put
be a
the
rolled
hickey
R
on your forehead? Trying to make your whole... Yeah, go on.
We don't talk about the forehead. We don't talk about that. If anyone wants context of the forehead, check Twitter. We won't talk about that here. Yeah, shenanigans. Shenanigans occurred.
Well, it feels like the right game for it right now because both these teams going to be trying to see what they can achieve around this Rift Herald. It looks like LGD, though, Kui going to take his rep buff. He already has that level 6 hit. Haichao not really having control in mid, so with the roam coming through from Kedaya already, just be having more members in the area could lead to a play over towards it, but looks like Assum just going to trade back onto the fact that he can just take turret plates.
Yeah, not bad for Assum. He's going to be happy with that one. Clear this wave as well using his E, and should be able to just push this one in, go for a reset for himself. Already has that Noon Quiver. Might be getting fairly close to finishing a Mythic. I think it'll take another reset after this one. But in fact, going to stick around, try and get a bit more plating down. But Xing's level 6 with red and white weapons. Assum does have to be a little bit careful here. Zeri, not exactly an early game carry, but Xing not going to be too aggressive, at least for the time being.
Kui was trying to make a play on the bottom side with JinJiao moving back down to attempt a dive here, but it looks like it was spotted out by Kedaya and also Shanks, who started to roam down. So instead, they decide to back away here on LGD's side. So WE at least will get that Rift Herald, and with only losing the play on bot side, it has the potential to be a relatively upsided play, but we'll just have to see how View tries to use it, because last game he did get the first Rift Herald, but not really being able to find somewhere to use that to his advantage.
No, not just yet. We did see he sort of just toddle up mid lane last time around, and it was not ideal. I've seen better Rift Heralds, I'll admit, Dagda. But perhaps game number 2 will be
worse,
redemption. Because
worse.
I have seen, well, have I seen worse?
I don't know.
I mean, it just
I was just trying to find the
do
positive. I was trying to find the positive.
I'm not sure if I have seen any. I think that is as bad as they come. Yeah. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Quaid just grabbed the scuttle crab, but flashed on immediately, and look at the follow-up. WE find themselves first blood 10 minutes in.
And this is the exact play that I wanted to see in the last game. Move Kedaya mid with View, make the play happen, and now you get to plunk the Rift Herald down here. You start to get Shanks into a good spot. He can get a nice lead. You're also able to just put pressure now into this bot side jungle, which also opens up Xing to push in a bot side, and you can potentially look for a dive on the bottom side as well, which is why, look at Assum. He's retreating right the way back off this tower.
View looking for a blue buff as well here. Quay moving out from his base, though, and I think View realizing that they're going to be quickly outnumbered, has to back away. But I'm loving this. WE actually making proactive plays, making things happen. Yes, it took him 10 minutes, but look at this. Kedaya sees an enemy, sees a target, immediately flashes over the wall and just slams him with an anchor.
Yeah, Kedaya kind of being the savior there. View again. Not, what is it, 0-3 we see on the screen right now for Sonic Waves. The Sonic Waves have not been working out great, but that's why the point and click from Poppy, and just saying, you know. But as we move into this, Dragon up in 40 seconds, resets coming through from LGD. Haichao should be able to get push in mid. Fearness and Biubiu have TPs if they want to try and get to the towers beforehand, but it looks like Fearness just going to start his walk down. And with push and bot, LGD should be favored with the control that they have.
Yeah, they certainly should be. We'll have to wait and see if they are going to be favored, because, you know, there's been a lot of should in this game. I will just say, View just hit a Q for the first time of the game. That
1 of 4.
We'll take those. We'll keep counting. 1 of 4 so far. We'll see if View can find positive ratios. No, we can't. That's 1 out of 5. Not ideal. Not ideal. Haichao getting a tether onto Shanks as we just spar. There's another Q from View. Nicely done
Shanks,
here in the meantime. Shanks 1v1ing Haichao on the backside. Haichao trying to escape, but he moves towards Xing and ends up going down. Beautifully done here. WE finding yet more advantages as Assum stacking up with the lethal tempo as well. It'll be WE muscling their way into a Drake.
Fantastic job from Shanks there. Stole the distortion from Haichao as he came over the wall, and then just sends it right back on towards the LeBlanc. And that's what we're talking about. Once you can close the gap as the Sylas onto this LeBlanc, you're in a good spot. JinJiao?
JinJiao wants the 1v1 at the Dragon Pit. I respect it. I mean, look at the skin he's using. He's using the Wrestle in Braum skin. He sees a pit. He sees one dude. He's like, I'm in there, bro.
Yeah, the luchador wants to go ham, but make sure it's not a lucha don't. But Shanks here again steals the W from Haichao, hops over the wall with the distortion, instantly able to close the gap. Great use of the Everfrost as well to get on towards Haichao, and then Xing gets a nice Inferno ultimate across here as well, which makes LGD back on up here.
Yeah, so resets again. WE with the lead here. Still not quite 1,000 gold, but the 2 Drakes will make up for that. Is Fearness once again an advantage in that top side, grabbing himself a plate and a half here. Won't be able to look for anything more for the time being. I will say, not the most exciting top lane matchup available, as I love that the observers just zoomed in slightly because Biubiu missed the cannon. Like, that's a little unnecessary, guys, but I feel like they're looking at this game the same way that we are, Dagda.
That has to be insanely intimidating in this matchup, though, as a Sejuani, from, like, a lore perspective. Because, like, isn't Ornn one of the gods that the Freljordians pray to? So, like,
yes.
She's going up against, it's like fire and ice, except you've got, like, you know, ice cubes from your freezer, and you're going up against a literal volcano.
Yeah, and also, he's a goat. He's literally the goat of the top lane. So, you know, pretty intimidating As huge damage coming out from Shanks. He is loving this matchup all of a sudden.
Yeah, and that's it. Once you get a little bit of a helping hand from View, can we get it? Can we get it?
Is he going to land it?
2 and
Is
6.
Haichao going to move back
33.333%? No, okay.
Recurring. Haichao will be fine. He'll clear this one away. View, realizing that he's on the clock now, realizing that he's being counted, decides to hold on to the Q till it's guaranteed. Biubiu, however, not so much. Just jumps straight on over. The Q flashed away from. Oh god! And Haichao actually survives that one.
That's heartbreaking. Oh, that's so sad. I mean, it was a good play from Biubiu. I thought Haichao was going to back away because he did spot him on a ward just as it died at the back of red. But unfortunately, View not in a position to follow up, and Haichao will manage to escape. Rift Herald picked up though, it feels like, for WE. With Haichao back in base, also seeing JinJiao back on this bottom side as well, playing for the duo rather than for the team, means that you just have, again, more members of WE in the vicinity.
Yeah, I think we're on 1 and 6 right now for View in terms of Qs towards enemy champions. Shanks takes a little bit of a laser to the face there, but he should be okay to just clear this wave up in the bottom side. Assum just getting damage down onto the tower. Plates have gone at this point, so just another wave and they should be able to finish that tower off for themselves unless someone else moves on over. Quay trying to clear some camps as well on this Viego. He might look towards a dive here in the bottom side. Kedaya's here, Shanks here, View moving over as well. This could get dangerous.
He does hit Kedaya with the mob, but I think you're okay with 3 members here. But tower will fall, and yeah, WE would just be able to back away. You can't really push in mid lane either as Xing because you know that Haichao can get back there very quickly, and with the Luden's Echo already completed, will one-shot you, but that one doesn't count. That was towards the Scuttle Crab. That one doesn't count. We're going to count it towards champions on the Qs.
Oh, yeah. The misses on jungle camps, embarrassing though they are, don't count for our little minigame. Although we did count the one where he got it. Actually, the first 2 were on minions. It was Scuttle Crab and then mid-wave. So
yeah.
I don't know what the rules are at this point.
I assume that second one was at the LeBlanc rather than the mid-wave, but maybe you're right. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, we count it then. I mean, he's 1 and 8. We're just making him look so much worse.
Look, it's not, regardless of the actual score
1 and 9.
It's not
Never
pretty.
1 and 9. 1 and 9. He just missed one there. This is, look, they're winning, but this mini game is all I care about right now.
I will say, outside of just the silliness of this whole thing, it's a little worrying. Like, View has played plenty of Lee Sin. I feel like he should be able to hit the Sonic Wave onto static minions, but there you go. You know, everyone has bad days.
Yeah. Look, either way though, WE are getting the lead for themselves. 2k up. You got Dragon the spawn in 22 seconds. They've pushed in mid, or well, at least cleared out the minion wave in mid, and they've pushed in wave in bot side. So that means they, in theory, have control over this area and should be in a relatively okay spot. Koi looks like he's gonna maybe just give up third Dragon, which I don't know if you really want to do for LGD. I mean, top tower is nice and all, but Hextech Soul potential for WE, I'll definitely take that trade for WE.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, you're more than happy to take that trade every single day of the week. That's going to be sole point for WE. Like, they've basically got that for free as well. We saw one little scuffle earlier on for the Dragon, but since that, this third one, I mean, he's just going to go. And, you know, View gets to stand in point-blank range, so he's going to guarantee these Qs. His ratio is dramatically increasing for the positive here. I think there was at least 4 Qs there going out onto the Dragon. So, you know, positive for WE in terms of getting the Drake, but also positive for the ratios.
Exactly. But, I mean, we're only counting the ones that are on screen, right? And technically, that's only like a quarter of your screen. Not even a quarter of your screen, like an eighth of your screen. So, okay. Do we only count that as half a Q landed? How does this work? What, are we going by ratio aspect?
I'm gonna say if it's picture in picture, you actually get double points for each.
Oh,
so he's getting close to it. He's getting close to an even ratio again at this point.
All right, in all seriousness though, this is actually really good for WE. On it, it's really looked like they will push to a game 3 here. They're setting up vision control on this top side. They have the push with members here.
Get rooted up here, JinJiao. The next target is View, moves on forward, kicks the 2 together, and a question mark out from JinJiao. Great little flash from him, outplaying View a little bit, but the Q did land during all of that, so ultimately a positive play for View.
Oh, another one onto Haichao, but unfortunately with no ultimate, not really going to be able to follow that one up. The problem though is that like they moved Biubiu into mid lane to try and establish this topside vision control and look for the top lane tower. But because they didn't continue to move Biubiu across, when now they end up losing the push on bot, they don't get top tower. The vision is nice, but they still have to be careful here.
Shanks dashes over the wall. I think he'll be okay here. Quite trying to chase him down. Fearness looking at Xing in the mid lane. I don't know if he'll actually pull the trigger here as Shanks turns this one around alongside View. A TP coming through from Biubiu as well. Can they chase this one down? JinJiao in trouble, low on HP, should be taken down here. And a great little stun onto Quay, but his ultimate buffer just in time. Haichao dashes on out. And somehow LGD get away with just one death. But Baron spawning, there are pings from WE.
Yeah, Xing was able to survive the plane from Fearness in the mid lane as well. The Call of the Forge God didn't connect onto him. So now Fearness, ultless, Haichao being chased by Shanks. Oh, Shanks!
Oh, what an Everfrost out from Shanks, but he can't quite finish the kill here. LeBlanc, too slippery for him. Assum moving in. Fearness just muscles his way into the pit here to buy his team space and time. 3k on the Baron, though. WE are just keeping this one going. Quay needs to try and get in the pit if he wants to contest this one, but he's just going to go down instead. Ignited, trying to walk away, but the burn is too much. Haichao back in. Assum stacking up. Can Fearness find the play? In fact, it was Shanks' ult coming on through instead. Assum now stacking up. Can he get the chain lightning? Fearness going to be there. The kick. The chain's down onto Assum, but he's got the shield bow. Survives. Gets a shutdown as well as Xing tries to escape with his life. Yes, there was a Baron, but 3 kills for LGD.
All they needed to do was escape, but they try and turn for the fight. And now 3 members of WE are dead. Xing and Kedaya, the only ones left standing with that buff. And honestly, if you can try and group up as 5, sure, you can try and use that Baron buff, but you're not really going to be in a position to try and use this as effectively if you'd kept it across the likes of Shanks. And you see here, Fearness doesn't have the Call of the Forge God, so way less of a threat in these engagements. But Assum this entire time is just getting great poke off. Even when they're on Koi, the AoE damage is doing a ton of work. Xing comes across with the chakrams, but they're already running for the hills, and Xing wasn't able to get an auto attack off to keep those chakrams either. So Assum reading the situation super well here and using that to his advantage.
An attempted kick there by View, but actually knocking Assum upwards. Means that Shanks goes in but gets caught out by himself, and a couple of picks there for LGD, and crucially Assum getting a massive influx of gold, right? Last Whisper just picked up there, so 2.5 items now on the Zeri. Zeri is not a champion that you want to deal with in the late game, and neither is Ornn. Like, I feel like this composition from LGD is going to scale up pretty nicely. Fearness could be in trouble though. Everfrost, there's a kick. Everyone just going to CC the poor Forge God up. Not much Fearness can do about that one.
No, I mean, just bopped about all over the place. But nice pick from WE, especially with Dragon now in 40 seconds. Fearness will be able to TP in, but it will be close. And now WE will establish themselves in the air. If they can find one more pick off this, that could be crucial.
Certainly could. 26 seconds on that Drake. This could be the win condition for WE. If they're able to get that Hextech Soul for themselves. LGD just being forced away here. They know they can't contest for the time being. There is a wave on the bottom side that LGD could use to TP Fearness in behind enemy lines. Perhaps an Ornn flank, perhaps a big Call of the Forge God could be the answer. But no, TPing to the mid lane instead. JinJiao gets a ward down. Haichao, a little bit of damage as well. Here we go. Call of the Forge God. They just want to kick this one off. Couple of knockups there as Fearness moves forward as well. JinJiao trying to buy space for the rest of his team here. Assum stacking up, but they don't seem to have the damage. And now the turnaround from WE. LGD blinking health bars in full retreat here, but Assum will not stop. He won't stop peppering down, but Kedaya finds him. It's a huge hook, and a kill comes through for View. Make it 2 as well. Now WE turn things back on their head. They chase LGD down, and they finally find themselves an advantage.
View is going to go and take the dragon. The rest of WE will continue to push in. Baron buff is gone, but the waves are here. And WE, with that win, feels inevitable that they're going to push us to a game number 3.
Yeah, I didn't think you finished your sentence there.
Sorry, I hiccuped at the end, which made it sound like I was taking a deep breath. I was like, no, I just had to hiccup. Apparently, I've got the hiccups today.
That's okay. I forgive you for hiccuping, Dagda. I will always forgive you. Here we go, though. Good little knock-up from Fearness. It felt like a good start for LGD, but then just not enough damage, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Viu able to get out of there meant that they couldn't
that
burst
kick.
him down. And then, as you say, that kick from Viu was absolutely perfect. So Viu doing a really nice job to hop out and then back into the fight. And this hook, I thought it missed from Kedaya, but, I mean, just Nautilus things, right? Assum getting caught out by that one. Even had the cleanse and flash, but there was just everyone on WE very quickly following up on that. And just Assum trying his damnedest, which we've said a lot on LGD's side, but just not quite able to do it.
And I will say for Viu, you know, we were having a bit of fun about his Qs on the camps earlier on, but honestly, that kick was gorgeous. A 4-man Lee Sin kick. And last game, his Wukong was like the one good thing that WE had going for them. Like, his ults were crucial during those fights. So I feel like I need to apologize to Viu. Honestly, maybe having a little too much fun at his expense during this game, but really, really great team fight from him. Certainly redemption there. As you can see, Shanks pushing in that top side. WE moving on up to try and finish this one off. And remember, Xing versus Assum. Assum in the pre-game interview saying how this is somewhat of an LDL rivalry. You know, Xing, a player that has won in the LDL. Assum, not so much. So I feel like Assum really wants to prove himself. Did it in game number 1, but here in game number 2, it's Xing getting the best.
Yeah, at least at the moment, WE still in a pretty good spot to try and keep that rivalry in their favor. The push and bot side for Biubiu will allow them to start moving in towards the mid lane as well, where they can push that wave in, continue to get vision control established for Baron, which is in 45 seconds. Everyone's going for the resets. The Rabadon's death cap, just completed for Shanks as well, is going to be massive in these fights. The amount of healing and damage he's going to get off of those King Slayers is going to be absurd. And even just the fact that he's going to be able to survive so long with the Zhonya's Hourglass that he has in his back pocket as well. This is really tough now for LGD to deal with the 4-on-1 Sylas.
It certainly is. The story is all about Shanks, which is kind of funny because game number 1 was all about Haichao as well. Feels like very much a mid-lane matchup here between the two teams. And Haichao has been having a fine game himself. Like, I don't think Haichao's done anything particularly egregious, but not able to find any advantages either. And Shanks certainly knowing this matchup. And remember, this was a blind Sylas pick. Definitely something that's working out for WE.
And for WE, that's exactly what they need. Trying to put one win on the board for themselves. LGD, probably the easiest opponent for them to do it. There's the engage.
Just going to start things off here. JinJiao in a bit of trouble, waiting for the Unbreakable to go down before Shanks goes for the call of the Forge God himself. Haichao trying to move in, trying to get damage, but look at the CC layering coming out from WE here. It's so difficult for LGD to play the fights at all. There's 2 kills as Shanks gets picked apart by Haichao, but Haichao just doesn't have the damage to actually win the fight. All he can do is annoy. Viu now chasing down Fearness as well, goes for the challenging smite. Goes for a bit of style as he looks for a kill for himself. 6, 1, and 5. After a bit of a tragic early game, completely redeeming himself.
That was a fantastic fight from Viu. Being able to get in onto the backline, onto Assum, get that kick in, means that WE are able to cleanly win the fight. I will say, I'm pretty sure they could have ended. They did have the wave in mid lane, could have just gone for the end of it, but they will take the safer route, go for the Baron, and still should be in a great spot here to close out this game.
Beautifully done here by WE. Looks like we are going to be moving to 3 games. Let's take another look at the fight, because I feel like we're suddenly starting to realize that Viu, you know, his early game jungling not the greatest in the league, but his team fighting is clean.
Yeah, and watch it here, right? So you get the initial Glacial Fissure, but keep your eyes on Viu. Hits the Q here onto, I believe, Fearness, and his Fearness, it's actually onto JinJiao, and then follows up right the way through the fight, instantly turns with the kick onto Assum, and sends him straight into the waiting hands of the rest of the team, and no walls for Assum to try and escape.
Oh, for God's sake.
I didn't even catch that on the first one. I was like, oh, go on, Viu. But
I mean,
look,
it was still very good.
It
It was still very good. But, you know, it happens. It happens. Elder Dragon spawning in 1 minute and 30 seconds, and I'm not going to lie, even with the 10,000 gold lead, Elder Dragon can turn everything around. Ornn item coming through for Assum as well, who really has been the focus during these fights. You can see he's finished 3 items at this point as well. If there is some crazy world where Quay could find a miracle smite steal, if WE do opt to try and start that Elder Dragon, that could be an absolute disaster for WE. Here we go, call it the Forge God on the bottom side. 10,000 gold down. They're desperate to defend this tier 2, but that just ain't going to happen. And now it's going to be Fearness caught out by himself. and taken down.
And that was in a 4 versus 5 as well. Biubiu was still pushing in this mid lane. So now, ult's going wide from Biubiu, but WE with the Braum buff should still be able to crack open the base.
Yeah, this is going to be WE taking at least one inhibitor. It's going to be probably 2, actually. And maybe a little bit more as well. Knockups across the team. JinJiao will fall. Everfrost is really nice as well across the squad. And look at this, just into the meat grind to go LGD. Absolute destruction as one last auto flies out from Xing. 18-3. It looks like WE took game number 1 personally. They get one on the board. And Dagda, if they could do this again, it would be their first win of the split.
Can WE say nobody beats WE 11 times in a row? That is the question that we're going to find answered in game number 3. But I do agree, a much better game coming through from WE. Look, hiccups here and there, but being able to play through that mid jungle that we highlighted with the Lee Sin and the Sylas, setting up a Kedaya roaming in towards this mid lane to support that as well, getting the early Rift Heralds, getting value from those early Rift Heralds, and again, like, Xing and Kedaya's bot lane has been incredibly stable, so you see the Aphelios picking up space as the game goes on. He's dealing a ton of damage. Shanks is a monster in these fights as well that nobody can really deal with, utilizing those big ultimates that we're talking about in the Ornn and the Braum. It looked really good for WE in kind of understanding what they need to do with this composition.
Yeah, and we now have had a one-sided game on either side as well, so I'm really curious what game number 3 is going to end up looking like, because it felt like if you took the name bars off, I could have believed that that was the same team on blue side both sides, right? Both times, because the way the LGD played game number 2, very similar to the way... Sorry, other way around. The way WE played game number 2, very similar to the way LGD played game number 1 here, just snowballing off of an early lead and taking over. Shanks as well. This Sylas was beautiful to watch.
And I think that's the big thing here is that even though we saw them both teams snowball off of early leads in game 1 and game 2, the difference here was just the team fighting from WE. They were very well coordinated this time around. Viego getting a ton of those good kicks that we talked about, like playing off of locking themselves back and forth in and out of the fight, communicating well, and that was something that we didn't see in game number 1. Like, when Viego was able to get these kicks off onto people like Assum or onto key targets, everyone on WE was jumping in very, very quickly, and that was what was the massive point that was lacking in game 1. So we are starting to see kind of WE powering up a little bit over the course of this series. We'll have to see if they can go Super Saiyan for game 3.
We will have to wait and see. It could be WE's first win of the split. It'd be so exciting if we did end up seeing that one. Look at that scoreline from Shanks. I mean, we said it when the Sylas was locked in. Like, Shanks on Sylas, it's definitely his best pick. 16 KDA, the kill participation through the roof, the damage through the roof as well. Like, I just want to see this every single game. If it's not banned, I totally... Like, I was questioning the first pick on the Sylas. Now I get it.
I really like first pick Sylas. I actually just don't think that the LeBlanc was a good answer into it. Again, like, the trade patterns for the LeBlanc can work out well in the first few levels, but Sylas doesn't really care. Like, Sylas sucks levels until level 4 or 5, like, until he really kind of gets a few points in his kit. So you're not actually worried about being poked out at that stage. You're probably going to go for an early reset regardless. And the fact that then you were actually able to play through that Sylas in the mid lane was the big difference maker for WE. So I think coming into game 3, if we see the Sylas again here for Shanks, I'm hoping that WE have kind of learned, hey, look, if we give resources to Shanks on this Sylas, we get a ton of interest back, and we'll end up being able to take over the game.
Well, we'll have to see if both teams have learned that for game number 3. We're going to jump into a break and find out if WE can get their first win on the board right after.